Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Efficient Practice Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Evelyn Samuel, and I am super excited about our show today. We have an amazing guest. You all are going to be, you're going to get so many pearls of wisdom, a wonderful guest. So you want to make sure that you stay for the entire episode. For the show today, we have Dr. Hazel Glasper.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So happy to have you here. The listeners are in for a treat. I can't wait to get into our interview because you just have done all these amazing things. Yes, absolutely. But before we dive into your interview, I want to make a few show announcements.
Okay.
If you have not, please subscribe to our podcast. It's the Efficient Practice Podcast. Whether you are a dentist or a medical professional with a practice and you have efficient practices that you use for your business, this show is for you. And also, if you have not, please feel free to join our free Facebook group. It's called the Efficiency Now Network. There are a lot of professionals in there. There are dental professionals and other professionals, and we're all in there together helping each other so that we can have better businesses, more efficiency, more productivity, and a better quality of life. So now what I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of background about our esteemed guest. So today we have Dr. Hazel Glasper. Dr. Hazel Glasper has practiced comprehensive dentistry her entire career and is an emerging thought leader in the field. Committed to advancing the perception of oral health, Dr. Glasper founded Teach Me Dental, a national oral health campaign, and the Comprehensive Dental Continuum, a consulting agency that teaches dentists to implement the principles and practices of the comprehensive model, which have allowed her to work 3 days a week and collect millions in revenue. Recognized as a trailblazer and a game changer, Dr. Glasper has distinguished herself in the medical community as a physician of the oral cavity. An expert on the links between oral and systemic disease, her groundbreaking conferences have reached over 4 million people globally, connecting and educating dental and non-dental healthcare providers on the significance of oral systemic links and their impact on the oral healthcare crisis. Dr. Glasper has been featured in numerous dental publications and appeared on multiple national syndicated media outlets. Spokesperson on oral health for the American Heart Association in Maryland, she is a lead member of the legislative committee at Maryland Dental Action Coalition and a panelist at a Senate hearing to address oral health issues in Maryland. Dr. Glasper is redefining comprehensive dentistry. Her company's slogan, "Sell more dentistry, save more lives," encourages dentists to understand their vital role in medicine and establish themselves as critical members of their patients' healthcare team. For more information, which we'll also include in our show notes, you can visit www.drglasper.com. Welcome.
That sounds like quite a bio. Did I write it?
That is quite a bio.
I did not write that bio.
That is quite a bio, and you have done some amazing things. I am seeing you all over the place. I have seen clips of you. You've been on probably every media outlet. I've seen you everywhere. You've done some of everything, and we're going to get into that because I really want the viewers and the listeners to hear how you are trailblazing and helping to educate people on dentistry and the systemic relationship. That's just so important. And so I'm very happy and happy that you're on the show and happy that you're doing such a great thing as well.
Thank you. And you're doing some great things in the space as well. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I'll take it. So first, Dr. Glasper.
We take what we get, right? We deserve it.
We take what we can get.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Glasper, Hazel, I know a lot about you because I'm seeing you all over the place. But for our listeners who do not know you, which I can't imagine that they don't, but if they have not heard of you and they do not know of you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and like how did you come into the dental field and just a little bit about your background and your journey thus far?
Well, dentistry was not I never ever considered dentistry. Ever. Not, I know it's a lot of people, a lot of dentists, that's all they wanted to be. They wanted to work with their hands. Maybe your mama was a dentist, your daddy was a dentist, your aunt and uncle or something. No, none of that for me. I was going to medical school. And it really was a very chance conversation with one of my classmates from Spelman. That really in one conversation changed my perspective. I realized that, one, I had such reverence for this person. They were just brilliant, smart, very intelligent, at the top of our class. And for them to mention that they had this passion for dentistry, that they were going into dentistry, it opened up my eyes, and it made me realize that maybe dentistry was an untapped area of medicine. And from that point on, truly, I listened to my inner voice, my God self, and I followed it, and it has been an amazing ride for me, mainly because I'm very curious. And I'm not very complacent. One might say I could bore easily with certain things, right? So I'm always looking for the vastness, the complexity, the challenge in something, and trying to also make a difference. So, so dentistry was something I guess I happened upon.
That's amazing. I often say sometimes, I wonder if I chose the profession or if it chose me. Because we have a distinctive, personality type when we're in dentistry. We work in millimeters, we like details, we like beauty and aesthetics. And so sometimes I wonder about that. But I think it's amazing that while it wasn't your choice, how it was probably your calling, because you've done all these great things and it just so happened and it's been an amazing journey for you.
Yes, and it is my calling. I realize it really is the calling on my life. I think that when you are living on purpose, when you know that you are being you're ordained to do this type of work, you can feel it in every element of what you do. Now, you've always wanted to be a dentist. I got that, yeah? Since you were how old?
Since I was 5.
Right.
I have no idea where that came from. And I like you, I think it was a calling, because I have no idea. There was none in the family. I was the first doctor in the family. And so, so amazing.
I wanted to be a pediatrician. And I don't know why, because I wouldn't have been that great with kids. I love my kids, but I love the kids associated with my practice, but I wouldn't have been a great pediatrician. But I knew that I wanted to be a pediatrician until that one day when I realized maybe not.
Well, we're so happy that you decided to go into dentistry, because you're making such an impact.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. You started the 2 organizations, the Teach Me Dental, which is a national oral health campaign. Mm-hmm. Can you tell the listeners a little bit more about what the Teach Me Dental, what Teach Me Dental is, and what's the...
So Teach Me Dental, what I realized is that I wanted to get in front of the dental community and talk about the principles of comprehensive dentistry. And my view, my opinion on how comprehensive dentistry looks and how it looks from the perspective of health, function, and aesthetics, treating every single patient with that consideration. But then I thought, if before I get in front of the dental community and get them excited about this idea, I really need to get the public on board. I need them to understand that oral health is important. I need them to understand the principles of comprehensive dentistry. And I realized that, people really did not get oral health. And for the most part, it was an afterthought. It was not something that they felt was critical. So I decided to create Teach Me Dental, and then it became a life of its own, because I've promoted oral health through radio. So I was on a radio show and through various local and national television appearances, and just having very unique messages. Like I did the Roland Martin show on the dangers of kissing.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so that sparked, people were really drawn to the title, and they learned a lot. And then I do a lot of events. I'm constantly speaking here, there. I did the message at a large church in Baltimore recently. Maybe I don't know how many people were in the audience, but it was a huge church. And so many people had questions that they put me in a different part of the sanctuary and had a line just going, it was so many people who needed to know this about oral health and who never knew that about oral health. So I do a lot of events. I do publications, and my big thing has been the Comprehensive Healthcare series, where I'm meeting with dentists as well as physicians. I'm moderating a panel, and I have a subject matter every time I give a series. So the first one was on cardiology, nephrology, and endocrinology. And the second one was on women and children. And the next one will be oncology and geriatric medicine. So that has been amazing. Now that has been amazing. I think that I gained a lot of traction with that one, with the uniqueness of that program and the information that was shared, and realizing for dentists as well as other physicians that it's a bunch of mad scientists in the room having a scientific conversation about the importance of oral health, which is unique. And so that has been great. Then I got into the space of working with some legislation, trying to get the adult dental Medicaid bill passed, and we did through the Maryland Dental Action Coalition. And right now I'm focusing on putting some programs together for the underserved. So I don't know how I do that with a family and with the practice.
A practice,
with
exactly.
Coaching,
and with coaching.
Yeah, right. So
like, how do you do it all?
But it's fun stuff. It's good stuff.
It's really good stuff. And I'll share something with you. When I was, looking at some of the things I've seen of you online, and I've seen some of your speaking, which I sent you a message and I just said, this is refreshing. Mm-hmm. I did research. Interesting fact here. I did research when I was in dental school. And it was published. It was screening for the SPA-P gene of Streptococcus mutans in the predental infant. Mm-hmm. So basically, I was searching for this gene in Streptococcus mutans. And if the listeners aren't in dentistry, that's the bacteria that causes dental caries or cavities. So before the teeth, you're not supposed to have this gene or bacteria present. And we found it. So I had to do a lot of different testing and things of that sort. And it was because, you know why, moms kiss their kids, the family in the mouth.
Right.
And so way back when I was in dental school, anybody I saw in the family, it was before I had kids, if I saw them kissing kids in the mouth, I was like the cop, the dental cop, because people don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Coming across the room, no!
Exactly. And so when I saw you, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so true.
Mm-hmm.
And we really should be educating patients on this, because I think we fail to realize that so many people don't know these things.
Well, they don't.
They don't know. They
But
just
what
don't
brilliant research! That, you know, that's great research. My mother fed us from her mouth, and she had gum disease and did not know it. And people do, and some people do not realize that definitely in the Black community, especially during my time, that wasn't that unusual. For some people, maybe it is, because some of my friends say, "What?"
I've heard of people doing that now, and I'm just like, what?
I did it with my kids a couple of times. And I could afford to get all kind of baby food or, whatever. But, I did, my mother did it, it was a practice. It was, I never really considered at that time what it could cause, so
yeah.
not as unusual. Now, know that the reason why it was being done way back in the day was because we weren't going and buying baby food. I'm not talking about when I was with my kids, but my mother, they weren't buying baby food, and they weren't thinking about putting things in blenders and stuff like that. So it was easier. They're at the table. Let me go ahead and feed you as I'm being fed. And so it was a practice in the community, but it was a practice that they didn't know could be harmful.
Right. And I'll tell you this, we were traveling for the holidays, and we were in the airport, and I saw this couple, and they had a new baby, and they were taking turns, the mom and dad, kissing the baby in the mouth. And my husband had to kind of hold me, because I almost went over there. I had to fight the urge to go and tell them not to do that, but people just don't know. So it's good to get out and educate people, because when you know better, you do better.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
And so you also have the continuum that you are working with dentists on comprehensive dental care.
Yes.
So you're showing them with your motto, sell more dentistry, save more lives.
Yes. So with some of the dentists that I like working with some of the newer dentists as well as some of the seasoned dentists. But what I found was, for the most part, drill and fill dentistry is more common than people realize. And what I mean by drill and fill dentistry, that a lot of times limited care is being provided to patients, and not always fully informing our patients after we have done a complete examination, complete x-ray series, complete intraoral imaging and study models and occlusal exams and smile analysis, and all these things that are critical to practicing comprehensively. And when a lot of doctors would reach out to me, they would reach out to me because they saw all these phenomenal cases that I was doing, but they didn't really realize what it took to really do those cases. One, the information that you have to have prior to developing a treatment plan. and you really can't cut corners with that. But I think what was the big thing about the comprehensive continuum, the big thing about coaching dentists is that they're able to increase their scope of practice, because now they have the tools to get the diagnostics that they need to educate or properly care for their patients and present to their patients. But they're seeing more. They're actually diagnosing more oral disease, which was present before I got there. But maybe because of limited mindset, a lot of us might feel hesitant to truly treatment plan our patients, to truly present to them what is really going on inside of the mouth, because we have all these things we're considering, whether it's insurance, or we're reading the patient's pocketbook. We think, they don't really want this type of treatment. Or we're thinking if they're presenting with their teeth in this condition, they can't possibly care about the condition that their mouth is in. Or because we don't have the advanced training that we need to take on these cases. But here's the thing, if these patients are in your office, you have the ethical responsibility to fully diagnose them. Now, if we cannot execute those, the treatment, then that's a whole different subject. Then we have to get the training for that, or we need to properly refer them out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you've trained with some of the greats.
Yes.
I saw Fordbrook. I did LVI. So
okay.
And I think they were together before I was there. But absolutely the training. And like you said, sometimes we have all these stops. We have our own stops. The patients have stops and we have stops because we're thinking a lot of times, well, they may think I'm trying to get their money, or that's a big thing right here with dentists. They may think I'm trying to get paid, but if you don't diagnose those things, you're doing a disservice because you're not taking care of them, their whole health.
Right. So either the condition exists or it doesn't. Feeling like a salesman is selling me something I don't need. Right. So when I came up with the tagline, sell more dentistry, save more lives, I knew that some people would be put off. Like, what do you mean sell? It's a catchy phrase. It's something to make you think. It's something to make you realize. I've had more people focus on the sell more dentistry than the save more lives. And sell more dentistry simply means we have an obligation to fully diagnose our patients so they can make informed decisions around their health. And with doing that, we have the possibility that a life can be saved. But my question to many dentists is, do you believe that dentistry saves lives?
And
surprised by that.
And a great question that is, because you hear all the time, well, you're just a dentist, or
just a dentist.
I have to go to the doctor, but you're just a dentist.
You're just a dentist, right?
We all hear it. And you're thinking, I didn't think that when I was in my gross anatomy class and my, and so forth. But we do hear that a lot. Yeah. And you're right. If we don't fully believe it ourselves, how do we expect others to appreciate our training and what
they're not going to. If we do not present in that way, if we do not believe it ourselves, then we'll be considered just dentists.
And you have a personal story about
I have numerous. I really do. One of the ones I'll share, I know you've heard the one about my brother.
Yes.
And I think you heard the one about my mother as well. My mother was 62 when I diagnosed her with advanced gum disease. And I just graduated from dental school, and I had to extract all of her upper teeth and most of her lower teeth. My mother has taken care of herself all of her life. But by the time she was 62, she was hypertensive, she was diabetic, and she had had several miscarriages and 2 premature deliveries, one that resulted in the death of my sister. And the only issues that my mother had to cause insulin resistance, to cause low birth weight babies in that way, and even hypertension, was that she had this massive infection in her mouth that was never diagnosed. Now the question is, why was it not diagnosed? She was going to the same dentist for 12 years.
I as you're saying that, I'm thinking still those thoughts, where sometimes people are hesitant to diagnose for fear of losing a patient, or,
well, let's say for fear of truly losing a patient, like a patient's life.
that should be the fear,
right,
of losing the life, and that's why it should be diagnosed.
Especially in her case, because, I'd seen my mother's teeth, like the appearance of her teeth changing over the years. But it wasn't until I did my comprehensive examination and realized, no, I'm not just seeing this change. I'm seeing, some severe infection. And then she has all these health problems at 62. Why? I mean, diabetes does not run in our family in that way. And she didn't just start having diabetes. She had diabetes in her 40s. There's no reason for her to have diabetes in her 40s. So all these things just started making me realize the connection. And if anyone does not believe that gum disease or extensive dental decay can cause systemic problems, then we're not, when we see it in the mouth, the damage, the bone loss, the gingival inflammation, the loss of tooth structure, the pulpal involvement, how progressive and destructive it is, how could you not believe that those same bacteria would exit the mouth and do this same level of harm?
That's true. And you're so passionate about it, and it's good, and it's good that you're there and that you're educating the public on these things.
And dentists.
And dentists, yes. Because if they're not diagnosing their patients, that's not a good thing. I actually did a talk for a conference a while back on the reasons patients don't visit the dentist and why that may be detrimental to their health. Mm-hmm. And basically touched on the relationship as well, mm-hmm. with the oral cavity and systemic diseases. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But there again, people there were pretty surprised just by that presentation.
I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And isn't that something? Because this is a conversation that goes back to the beginning of dentistry. It really does go back to the beginning of dentistry. Many people, when dentistry was being done by monks and barbers, were dying in their 30s and 40s because of oral health issues. And to still have death and sickness and all of that now is because of lack of education.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So you deal with more practice management?
Well, I am a practicing dentist, but yes, I do practice management as well. The efficiencies of running the practice.
Yes. Do you coach on that?
I'm sorry?
You coach on that?
Yes, I do. I coach on that. I have an online course on that. And just as the importance of getting the patients to have a wonderful experience in the office to run smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're productive and efficient, we still have to be profitable too, because
Oh, yes.
we have small businesses as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do.
So at Chicago and Hinman, I'm going to talk about the 7-figure practice.
All right. Well, that's good. The Hinman is one of the best. I have to say, I'm from the South, and that's one of the best conferences.
Mm.
And I understand that they're going to treat you well as a guest there.
Oh, nice. I like to be treated well.
So get ready. But that's amazing. You're on the speaking. You're on the platform now. You're on the speaker circuit. That's the word I'm looking for. You're on the circuit now,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can bring your message to many dentists, and very excited to see that.
Right, and profitable. One of the phrases that I use is true brilliance is to have two mutually opposing thoughts at the same time. And that means being a clinician and a business person. See, a lot of people are conflicted when they're in their practices. They figure, I'm a clinician. I need to make an I have an ethical responsibility to be a certain way with my patients. But I'm a business person as well, and I have to take care of the health of my practice. Well, they are not mutually exclusive. And so I think we struggle with that. As clinicians, we're like, being a business person, I have to make decisions that may not feel right for me as a doctor. Well, if you're taking care of your patients, if you're doing what is considered the responsible thing to do and fully informing them, you still have to run a business, and it still needs to be profitable, or you cannot help your patients. And
well said.
right, so getting people to have these two mutually opposing thoughts and realizing that the two can merge, and you can be extremely successful.
That is the truth. And you're practicing now. How many days a week are you in your practice?
About 3.5.
About 3.5. And so that means that you have mastered efficiency.
Yeah.
Because
you wouldn't have thought that at my huddle this morning.
Well, I say that because you can truly do as much in 3.5 days as you can in 5.
Yes.
And have less stress.
Yes.
Just with efficiency. So the fact that you're doing that and you're lecturing on that tells me that you are efficient.
Yes. We have a streamlined practice, and we take very good care of our patients.
That's good. One-on-one care, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We do not see high volume here. That is not, for me, that is not the for me and how I practice is not the principles of comprehensive care. So, but there are different business models out there that exist. I get that.
There are, and I subscribe to your philosophy. Volume is never been one for volume, so I subscribe to your philosophy as well. So tell me, what's next for Dr. Glasper?
Yes. So I went to a phenomenal speakers conference this weekend in Phoenix, Arizona, with the Dental Speakers Institute. My dear friend Vanessa Emerson started this probably 2 years ago. So it was an amazing conference. Getting myself out there more as a speaker, getting past Hinman and Chicago. I am very type A.
You think?
So, I'm good at multitasking. I really am. But things have come to a halt for a second until I get past Chicago and Hinman, because the preparation for these meetings, it's pretty important to me. So I did the Las Vegas meeting a couple of weeks ago with the Maddow brothers, and getting prepared for that took some time away for the Chicago and the Hinman meetings. Mm-hmm. And so now I have to stay very focused, and once I get past Chicago and Hinman, I have a lot of other exciting things that will start coming down the pike from there.
Okay. And those are really large conventions, by the way. So that's to be commended. So that's really good. And I hear you got a standing ovation at the one in Vegas.
Yes, my message is being well received.
Good.
It's been well received, and I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for that. I think it's an important message. I think dentistry is an amazing profession, and anything that we can do to elevate our profession and understand the power that we have and the impact that we have is what I'm about. And it sounds like what you're about as well.
Yes, and your passion, it just shows. For those who are watching, you'll see it. You'll hear it as well on the podcast, but your passion shows. So wonderful. So now you've been everywhere, CNN, Fox, and now the Efficient Practice Podcast.
Yes. And now I can check.
You can check that one out too.
Thank you for having me.
So, yeah, if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, let's say it's dentists that may want to train with you or receive your coaching. I know you're really busy now, but how would they get in touch with you?
Well, one, look out for the workshop that I'll be putting together. I'm hoping the July to September area. It's going to be very, a small group VIP type of workshop that is going to focus on comprehensive principles and mindset. So that's coming up. My website, drglasper.com, is one way to connect with me. My email address, drglasper@gmail.com.
Okay, so we're going to we'll put it on the show notes. I was looking to see if you wanted to put that one up, and we will put it on.
Yeah, well, I would hope that anyone who would reach out to me would be, respectful that it is my personal email. And I do welcome individuals reaching out to me. Just, we're all professionals. We understand that, be mindful, it is my personal email.
There are people listening all over the world, so they're kind of like, you might get a flood of emails. And you're busy, so if you don't answer, we know that you're lecturing somewhere, and so.
And my office email is office@revivesmile.com.
Okay. All right. So I will include all of those in the show notes. Mm-hmm. And I want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're seeing patients today.
Thank you. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for
we have to get together, have or something, and see how we can work together soon.
Exactly. We're so close. We're right in the region together, so we have to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely.
And have a wonderful Wednesday.
You too. So this concludes another episode of the Efficient Practice Podcast. If you have not done so, please subscribe to, rate, and review the show. We're seen on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and many of the major podcast mediums. And if you have not, please join our free Facebook group. It's called the Efficiency Now Network, where there are lots of professionals like Dr. Glasper who are in there, and we're all working together to help have efficient practices, dental and medical, or use efficient practices to run our businesses better. Once again, we'd like to thank our esteemed guest, Dr. Hazel Glasper, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And we will see you the next time. Take care.
Take
and
care.
so long.
Bye-bye.
Bye.